The school buzzed with a palpable sense of excitement as the student council announced an unusual fundraising event, a womanless beauty pageant to raise money for a new soccer field. The corridors and classrooms were filled with chatter and anticipation. While most of the guys were less than enthusiastic about the idea, the girls were practically brimming with glee at the prospect. I'm Ryan, a player on the school's soccer team, and naturally, the conversation turned to who among us might take part in the spectacle to support our cause. Some of my friends nudged me to join, seeing it as a chance to contribute to the new field. My best friend Steve, our team's steadfast goalie, stood out at 6'1", with a robust, stocky build not exactly the typical pageant contestant. In contrast, my lean 5'7" frame seemed more fitting for the role. Despite my reluctance, Steve was relentless, painting the event as both a great boon for the team and a chance for some light-hearted antics. He urged me to consider it, promising it would be an entertaining and memorable experience. I assured him I'd mull it over and get back to him with my decision. When I got home that day, my mum asked how school was, and I explained the situation. To my surprise, my mum's eyes lit up with excitement. "Oh, Ryan, that sounds like so much fun. You should definitely do it," I groaned. "Mum, come on. It's embarrassing. I don't want to dress up like a girl in front of the whole school." She waved her hand dismissively. "Nonsense. It's all in good fun. Plus, it's for a great cause. Your team needs that new field." I sighed, knowing she had a point, I guess, but I wouldn't even know where to start with makeup and dresses and stuff. My mum's grin widened. "Well, lucky for you, you have an expert right here. I'd be happy to help you get ready." I felt a mix of dread and resignation wash over me. Between Steve's pestering and my mum's enthusiasm, I was starting to feel like I didn't have much choice in the matter. My mum was already chattering excitedly about dress options and makeup techniques, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. "Oh, we could go shopping this weekend. I bet we could find a gorgeous dress at the mall. Oh, and we'll need to figure out what to do about your hair." I held up my hands in surrender. "Whoa, Mum, slow down. I haven't even officially signed up yet." But the wheels were already turning. The next day at school, Steve cornered me at my locker. "So, you in, man?" he asked eagerly. I hesitated, then nodded reluctantly. "Yeah, I guess so." My mum's super into the idea too. Steve clapped me on the back. "Awesome. This is gonna fun." The next couple days at school were fairly uneventful, and the weekend was quickly approaching. My mum was downright ecstatic to get started. Maybe it was because she never had a daughter, and this was her chance at pretending she had a daughter getting ready for a dance. I was nervous as hell and reluctant, but I also didn't want to let my mum down. She seemed so happy. I hadn't seen her this excited since my dad. Her husband passed away unexpectedly. When I got home from school on Friday, my mum was already at home waiting and wanted to talk to me. She said I really had two choices: shop for my pageant dress as a boy, or do a test run dressing up and go shopping as a girl. I stared at her, dumbfounded. "Mum, are you serious? Go shopping as a girl?" She nodded enthusiastically. "Think about it, Ryan. It would be the perfect practice run. You'd get a feel for what it's like to be out in public dressed up, and we could get honest opinions on how the dresses look without anyone knowing it's for a pageant." I felt my cheeks burning at the thought. But what if someone recognizes me? Mum waved her hand dismissively. "Honey, with the right makeup and outfit, no one will recognize you. Plus, we can go to the mall the next city over, just in case." I stood there, mouth agape, as my mum's words sank in. The idea of going out in public dressed as a girl was terrifying, but a small part of me was intrigued by the challenge. Plus, seeing my mum so animated and excited was infectious. I hadn't seen her this happy in years. "Okay," I said softly, hardly believing the words coming out of my mouth. "Let's do it." My mum squealed with delight and pulled me into a tight hug. "Oh, Ryan, this is going to be so much fun. We'll have a mother-daughter day out." I couldn't help but chuckle at her enthusiasm. "Mother-daughter, huh? I guess that makes me the daughter for the day." She grinned, her eyes twinkling. "That's right, and I'm going to make sure you look absolutely beautiful. Now, we don't have to get ready tonight, but I do want you to get a great night's sleep so we can have a fun day tomorrow." I was honestly scared a little, as my mum always dressed very nicely. She always wore such pretty and feminine clothes. She always looked polished and put together. I knew we were practically the same size, which terrified me, knowing that my mum rarely wore pants and was always in a dress, skirt suit or something else incredibly girly. I tossed and turned all night, my mind racing with thoughts of the next day. What had I gotten myself into? When morning finally came, I trudged downstairs to find my mum already bustling about the kitchen. humming cheerfully. "Good morning, sleepyhead," she chirped. "Eat up, we've got a big day ahead." After a quick breakfast, my mum ushered me upstairs to her bedroom. She had laid out an array of clothing on her bed, a floral sundress, a pair of strappy wedge sandals with a 3-heel, and various undergarments that made my cheeks flush. "All right, since you will be wearing a dress and showing some leg, you are going to have to shave. We can't have you showing hairy legs under your dress." Mum handed me her razor and some lavender shaving cream and told me to get going. While I headed to the bathroom, my mum told me to use her scented body wash and make sure I use her shampoo and conditioner too. As I stepped into the shower, the floral scent of my mum's body wash filled the steamy air. I hesitated for a moment before lathering up my legs with the lavender shaving cream. The process was awkward and time-consuming, but I was determined to do a thorough job. By the time I finished, my legs felt strangely smooth and sensitive. Even though she didn't tell me to, I lifted my arms and started to shave my armpits too. I knew girls my age had smooth armpits too. I was enthralled by the feeling of my smooth skin, and as I was running my hands over my smooth body, my mum yelled into the bathroom, "Don't forget to use my shampoo and conditioner. We need to take of that messy hair of yours too." As I stepped out of the shower, wrapped in a fluffy towel, I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror. My hair, now sleek and shiny from my mum's expensive shampoo and conditioner, framed my face in a way that already made me look softer, more feminine. I ran my hand over my smooth legs, marveling at the unfamiliar sensation. "Ryan, honey, are you finished?" My mum's voice called from the bedroom. "Yeah, just a sec," I replied, my voice cracking slightly with nervousness. I took a deep breath and opened the bathroom door. My mum was waiting with a pile of clothes in her arms, a wide smile on her face. "Oh, look at you. Your skin is glowing," she cooed. "Now, let's get you dressed." She handed me a pair of silky panties and a matching bra. I stared at the delicate undergarments in my hands, my cheeks burning with embarrassment. The panties were a soft pink satin, trimmed with lace and adorned with a tiny bow at the front. The matching bra was equally feminine, with lightly padded cups and delicate straps. Mum," I stammered, "I don't think I need the—" "You know." I gestured awkwardly at the bra. She chuckled. "Trust me, dear. It'll help create the right silhouette under the dress, and I have some false boobies to help you out. Now put them on." With trembling hands, I slipped on the panties, gasping slightly at the cool, silky sensation against my freshly shaved skin. They hugged my hips snugly, the lace tickling my thighs. I couldn't help but run my hands over the smooth fabric. I hesitantly picked up the bra, fumbling with the clasp for a moment, before managing to secure it around my chest. The straps settled onto my shoulders, and I felt the soft cups resting against my skin. My mum handed me 2 silicone breast forms, showing me how to position them in the cups. As I slid them into place, I was startled by how realistic they felt and looked, creating a natural-looking curve under the bra. Next came a pair of sheer, nude-coloured pantyhose. Mum gave me precise instructions on what to do, so I carefully rolled them up and started to slide them on my legs, marvelling at how they smoothed and evened out my skin tone. The waistband settled high on my hips, creating a sleek line under the panties. I didn't want to admit it, but the pantyhose felt heavenly on my legs. My mind was screaming wow, which terrified me. Finally, it was time for the dress. My mum held up the floral sundress, its soft fabric swaying gently. I stepped into it, and she zipped it up at the back. The dress hugged my waist and flared out at the hips, creating a feminine silhouette I'd never experienced before. The hem fell just above my knees, showing off my newly smooth legs. I couldn't believe how well my mum's dress fit me. Did I really have a figure and body like her? "Turn around. Let me see you," my mum said, her voice filled with excitement. I slowly spun in place, the skirt of the dress swirling around my legs. The soft fabric felt strange against my skin, so different from my usual jeans and t-shirts. I caught a glimpse of myself in the full-length mirror and froze. The person staring back at me was pretty. The dress accentuated curves I didn't even know I had, and the floral pattern somehow made me look softer, more delicate. "Oh, Ryan," my mum breathed, her eyes misty. "You look beautiful." I blushed, unsure how to respond. Part of me wanted to tear off the dress and hide, but another part was intrigued by this new version of myself. Now for the finishing touches as she guided me to her vanity. She started with a light foundation, evening out my skin tone. She expertly applied concealer to hide any blemishes, then dusted a light powder over my face to set everything. Next came a subtle blush on my cheeks, giving me a soft, rosy glow. "Close your eyes, sweetie," she instructed, and I felt the gentle sweep of eyeshadow brushes across my lids. She lined my eyes with a soft brown pencil, making them appear larger and more feminine. A coat of mascara made my lashes look impossibly long and full. Finally, she applied a rose-coloured lipstick, blotting it gently with a tissue. "There," she said, stepping back to admire her work. "Take a look." Even though my hair was still wet and straggly, the face staring back at me from the mirror was undeniably feminine. My features, which I had always considered somewhat plain, now looked delicate and pretty. "Wow," I whispered, barely recognizing my own reflection. The makeup had transformed my face, softening my features and enhancing my eyes in a way I never thought possible. "You look stunning," my mum beamed. "Now, let's do something about that hair." She plugged in her hairdryer and started working on my damp locks. As she dried and styled my hair, I watched in fascination as it began to take on a softer, more feminine shape. She used a round brush to give it some volume and curl the ends slightly inward. "There," she said, putting down the brush. "What do you think?" I stared at my reflection, amazed at the complete transformation. My hair now framed my face in soft waves, giving me a look that was undeniably girly. Combined with the makeup, dress, I looked beautiful. My mum picked up a pair of large silver hoop earrings, holding them up to my ears with a smile. "These will look perfect with your outfit," she said. I felt a moment of panic. "Mum, I don't have pierced ears," I exclaimed. She looked at me with surprise. "Really, sweetie?" I blinked in confusion, then suddenly realised she was right. I did have pierced ears. I'd gotten them done years ago. The memory felt fuzzy, but it must be true. Relief washed over me, as I remembered countless times wearing earrings before. "You're right," I said, touching my earlobes gently. "I can't believe I forgot." My mum chuckled and gently slid the earrings into my pierced ears. The cool metal felt familiar against my skin. She then handed me a delicate silver necklace with a small heart pendant which I fastened around my neck. "Now for the final touch," she said, presenting me with the strappy wedge sandals. I slipped them on, wobbling slightly as I adjusted to the added height. The 3-inch heel made my legs look even longer and more shapely. "Perfect," my mum exclaimed, clasping her hands together. "You look absolutely gorgeous, sweetie. No one would ever guess you're not a real girl." I turned to look at myself in the full-length mirror one last time, and my breath caught in my throat. The girl staring back at me was undeniably pretty, with soft curves, long legs, and a face that looked naturally feminine. It was almost impossible to believe that just a few hours ago, I had been a typical teenage boy. Now, I looked every bit the part of a fashionable young woman. "Ready to go shopping?" my mum asked, grabbing her purse. I nodded, feeling a mix of nervousness and excitement. As we walked out to the car, I was hyper-aware of how different my body felt. The sway of the dress, the gentle bounce of the breast forms, the click of the heels on the pavement. The drive to the mall in the next town over was filled with my mum's cheerful chatter about which stores we should visit and what styles might suit me best. I found myself getting caught up in her enthusiasm, my initial reluctance fading as I imagined trying on different outfits. As we pulled into the mall parking lot, my mum turned to me with a serious expression. "Now remember, sweetie, you're my daughter Rachel for the day." "Rachel," I asked with a quizzical look. "I just thought it would suit you. Just act natural and have fun with it." I nodded, my heart racing as we got out of the car. The click of my heels on the pavement seemed impossibly loud. As we walked toward the mall entrance, I tried to mimic my mum's graceful gait, focusing on swaying my hips slightly with each step. Inside, the mall was bustling with Saturday shoppers. I felt dozens of eyes on me as we walked past storefronts, but to my surprise, no one seemed to give me a second glance. They saw exactly what they expected to see, a mother and daughter out for a day of shopping. Our first stop was a trendy boutique filled with elegant homecoming and prom dresses and accessories. As we browsed the clothes, my mum was picking up every dress she saw, each one asking me for my opinion. I didn't know how to respond. I mean, I'm a guy. How would I have any opinion on this? Dress after dress she asked, and all I could say was that was nice. My mum must have had a dozen dresses in her arms at this point. I couldn't help but whine to my mum, "Why do we have to try all these on? Can't we just pick one and leave?" My mum looked at me with a mixture of amusement and exasperation. "Rachel, honey, that's not how dress shopping works. You need to try them on to see how they look and fit. Besides, isn't this fun?" I bit my lip, realising I had slipped out of character. A real girl would probably be thrilled at the prospect of trying on so many beautiful dresses. You're right, Mum, I said, forcing a smile. I guess I'm just a little overwhelmed by all the choices. She beamed at me, patting my arm. That's my girl. Now, let's start with this lovely blue one. The next hour was a whirlwind of silk, satin, and tulle. I stepped in and out of dresses, twirling for my mum and the sales associate who had come to assist us. With each new dress, I found myself getting more into the role of Rachel. I started to have opinions on necklines, hemlines, and colours. Oh, I love the way this one sparkles, I heard myself say about a silver sequined gown. The mermaid style really accentuates your figure, I commented on another. My mum beamed with pride at my growing enthusiasm. See? I knew you'd get into it once we started trying things on. As I slipped into a stunning emerald green dress with a sweetheart neckline and a flowing skirt with a slit that came up dangerously high on my thigh, I caught sight of myself in the mirror and gasped. The dress hugged my curves in all the right places. It was an open back dress with delicate spaghetti straps crisscrossing my bare back, and it also showed a lot of cleavage too. I was a little nervous to step out as the false boobs could be seen clearly. I peeked my head out and asked my mum to come in. My mum stepped into the dressing room, her eyes widening as she saw me in the emerald dress. "Oh, Rachel, you look absolutely stunning," she exclaimed. I blushed, feeling a mix of embarrassment and pride. "Thanks, Mum. But isn't it a bit revealing?" I whispered, gesturing to my chest and the high slit. My mum studied me for a moment, her eyes narrowing in thought. "Nonsense, sweetie. This dress was meant for you. You have incredible legs which work well for the high slit," she said. But then her gaze shifted to my chest. She paused, considering. "You can't wear a bra with this dress, so we'll have to figure out a better solution for your breasts." My mum tapped her chin thoughtfully. "We need something more natural looking and secure." My mum pulled out her phone and started searching for something. I asked what she was doing, and she let me know she was searching for realistic breast forms. "Perfect," she said as she closed her phone. "We can't get them here, but I found a solution." She turned to me with a mischievous glint in her eye. "There's a specialty shop in the mall that sells prosthetics and body shapers. They have some very realistic silicone breast forms that adhere directly to your skin. They'll look and feel much more natural than the ones you're wearing now." I felt a wave of anxiety wash over me. "Mum, I don't know about this." She waved her hand dismissively. "Don't worry, sweetie. It's all part of the experience. Plus, it'll make your pageant performance even more convincing." Before I could protest further, she was ushering me to change back into my sundress. As I slipped back into my sundress, my mind was reeling. Did I really just spend an hour trying on dresses and enjoying it? The soft fabric of the sundress felt familiar now, almost comforting as it settled around my body. I smoothed my hands over the skirt, marvelling at how natural the gesture felt. My mum was practically buzzing with excitement as she went to pay for my emerald dress. My dress, I thought, and then caught myself. When had I started thinking of it as mine? The sales associate beamed at us as she carefully wrapped the gown in tissue paper and placed it in a garment bag. "You're going to look absolutely stunning in this," she said to me with a warm smile. "It's perfect for your complexion and your blonde hair." I felt my cheeks flush as I mumbled a thank you, trying to keep my voice soft and feminine. The compliment sent a strange thrill through me, one I wasn't quite sure how to process. As we left the boutique, my mum linked her arm through mine. "Now, let's go get you those breast forms," she said cheerfully, as if we were simply picking up milk from the grocery store. The specialty shop was tucked away in a quieter corner of the mall. As we entered, I was struck by how clinical and professional it looked, with discreet displays of various prosthetics and body shapers. A kind-looking middle-aged woman approached us with a warm smile. "How can I help you ladies today?" she asked. My mum took charge, explaining that we were looking for realistic silicone breast forms. The woman nodded, understanding, her eyes flicking to me briefly. "Of course," the woman said warmly. "We have several options that might work well for you. Why don't you come back to our fitting room and we can find the perfect match?" I followed her and my mum to a private area in the back of the store, my heart pounding. The woman, who introduced herself as Susan, had me remove my dress so she could take some measurements. "Now, dear, what size are you looking for?" Susan asked kindly. I froze, unsure how to respond. My mum jumped in smoothly. "We're thinking a nice B cup would be most natural for her frame. We're practically the same size, and I'm a 34B," my mum said. Susan nodded and brought out several options. She explained how to properly apply and care for the silicone forms, demonstrating on a mannequin. Then she handed me a pair and some medical adhesive. "Go ahead and try these on," she encouraged. They'll feel much more natural than what you're currently wearing. With trembling hands, I applied the adhesive to my chest and carefully positioned the silicone forms. The sensation was strange, but not unpleasant. They molded to my body seamlessly, creating a natural curve that looked and felt incredibly realistic. How does that feel? Susan asked. It's different, I admitted, but not bad. They feel much lighter and more comfortable than the other ones. My mum beamed. They look perfect, sweetie. So natural. Susan helped me adjust the forms slightly and also showed me how to use a little makeup to hide the seam, then had me put my dress back on. The difference was immediately noticeable. The dress hung more naturally, and I felt more balanced and comfortable. These are designed to be worn for extended periods, Susan explained. You can shower and sleep in them if needed. Just be sure to clean them properly and reapply adhesive as necessary. I have included 2 types of adhesive, one for shorter periods and one for extended wear up to many months. There is also some adhesive remover, plus some body makeup too for you. Mum went to the counter to pay for the breast forms, and I trailed behind her, still marvelling at how natural they felt. As the cashier rang up the purchase, I caught a glimpse of the price tag and my eyes widened in shock. These weren't just expensive, they were astronomically priced. Mum, I whispered urgently, tugging at her sleeve, this is just for one night. Do we really need to spend this much? She turned to me with a soft smile, her eyes twinkling with an emotion I couldn't quite place. Don't worry about the cost, sweetie. These are an investment. I furrowed my brow, confused by her choice of words. An investment? For a one-night pageant? But before I could question her further, she had already handed over her credit card to the cashier. As we left the store, a small group of girls about my age walked by. One of them, a pretty brunette, glanced at me and smiled. Cute dress, she said as they passed. I felt my cheeks flush with a mix of embarrassment and pride? Thanks, I managed to reply, my voice coming out higher than usual. My mum squeezed my arm. See? You look completely natural. No one suspects a thing. Now we still need to get you the correct undergarments and a pair of killer heels to go with that amazing dress, but why don't we grab some lunch first? Mum suggested, guiding me towards the food court. The thought of sitting down to eat in public, dressed as I was, sent a fresh wave of anxiety through me. But as we walked, I realised I was actually quite hungry after all the excitement of the morning. We settled on a trendy salad place, and as we waited in line, I found myself unconsciously mimicking the posture of the girls around me, shoulders back, hips slightly cocked, weight resting on one leg. It felt strangely natural. What would you like, sweetie? Mum asked as we approached the counter. I scanned the menu, suddenly aware of how my choices might be perceived. Would ordering a big, hearty salad seem too masculine? I settled on a light spinach salad with grilled chicken and a small smoothie. I'll have the spinach and chicken salad, please, I said to the cashier, consciously keeping my voice soft and higher-pitched, and a small berry smoothie. The cashier smiled at me. Great choice. That's one of our most popular options. As we waited for our order, I found myself people-watching, particularly observing the other girls and women around us. I noticed how they moved, how they interacted with each other, even how they ate. It was like seeing a whole new world I'd never paid attention to before. Our food arrived, and we found a small table near a window. As I picked at my salad, my mum chatted animatedly about our shopping plans for the afternoon. We still need to find you the perfect shoes and some nice lingerie to go with that gorgeous dress, she said between bites of her salad. I nearly choked on a piece of chicken. Lingerie? I squeaked, my cheeks burning. She laughed softly. Of course, dear. You can't wear just any old underwear with a dress like that. We need something seamless and flattering. As I pushed my salad around my plate, I couldn't help but notice how different it felt to eat while presenting as a girl. I found myself taking smaller bites, chewing more delicately, and being hyper-aware of my posture. It was exhausting, but also oddly satisfying to embody this new persona so completely. After lunch, we made our way to a high-end lingerie boutique. The store was a sea of lace, silk, and satin in every colour imaginable. I felt my cheeks burning as we walked past displays of delicate bras and panties. Now, my mum said, her eyes scanning the store, we need something that won't show under your dress. A nice pair of French-cut lace panties would be best, I think. The idea of wearing something so skimpy made me dizzy with embarrassment. A sales associate approached us with a friendly smile. Can I help you ladies find anything? My mum explained our needs, and soon I found myself in a changing room with an array of lacy undergarments. As I slipped on a pale green lace panties, I was surprised by how comfortable it felt against my smooth skin. There was a matching bra too, but I remembered my mum saying I couldn't wear a bra with the dress we bought. I had my mum step into the changing room, feeling incredibly exposed in just the lace panties. "Oh, Rachel, those look perfect," my mum exclaimed. "The colour complements your skin tone beautifully." The sales associate nodded in agreement. "They fit you wonderfully. How do they feel?" I shifted, uncomfortably, acutely aware of how little the delicate lace covered. "They're surprisingly comfortable," I admitted reluctantly. "Excellent," the associate said. "Now, since you can't wear a bra with your dress, we should look at some adhesive nipple covers to ensure a smooth silhouette." I felt my face flush even hotter as she brought out a selection of flesh-toned silicone covers. My mum chose a pair that matched my skin tone perfectly. As my mum paid for the panties and nipple covers, the sales gal said the matching bra came with the panties and they also had a buy one get one sale too. "Oh, that's wonderful," Mum exclaimed, her eyes lighting up at the prospect of a good deal. "What do you think, Rachel? Should we take advantage of the sale?" Panic set in as I whispered, "Why do we need another set of a bra and panties?" My mum just smiled and patted my arm reassuringly. "It's always good to have options, sweetie. Plus, you never know when you might need them again." Her words sent a shiver down my spine. Again? This was supposed to be a one-time thing, wasn't it? But before I could voice my concerns, my mum was already picking out another set this time in a deep, rich burgundy colour. "This would look stunning with your complexion," she mused, holding the lacy bra up to my chest. The sales associate nodded in agreement, and I found myself blushing furiously. I guess so," I stammered, unable to come up with a convincing argument against it. "I almost forgot," my mum said. "We need to get you some nude pantyhose too." I stared at her in disbelief. Hadn't we already bought enough? But before I could protest, she was already leading me to another section of the store, filled with rows upon rows of hosiery in various shades and styles. "Now, let's see," my mum mused, her eyes scanning the options. "We want something sheer, with a slight sheen to make your legs look flawless." The sales associate, who had followed us, chimed in. "For your skin tone, I'd recommend our Barely There line in the shade Sun-Kissed. It's got a lovely natural glow that will make your legs look absolutely stunning." I watched in a daze as my mum and the associate discussed the merits of different brands and styles. They talked about denier counts and control tops as if it was the most natural conversation in the world. Finally, they settled on a pair of ultra-sheer pantyhose with a slight shimmer. "These will be perfect," my mum declared. "We'll take 2 pairs, one nude and one black pair." As we left the store, laden with bags, I felt a mix of emotions I couldn't quite sort out. Part of me was mortified at the growing collection of feminine items we'd purchased. Another part, a part I was trying hard to ignore, felt a strange thrill at the thought of wearing them. "Now, for the finishing touch," my mum said, steering me towards a shoe store. "We need to find you the perfect pair of heels to go with that dress." The shoe store was a sea of glittering stilettos, strappy sandals, and elegant pumps. My eyes widened as I took in the dizzying array of options. The 3-inch wedges I was wearing suddenly felt quaint in comparison to some of the towering heels on display. "Now, for a dress like yours, we want something elegant but not too flashy," my mum mused, her eyes scanning the shelves. "Maybe a classic stiletto? Or a strappy sandal?" A sales associate approached us with a friendly smile. "Can I help you ladies find anything specific today?" My mum explained our needs, describing the emerald green dress we'd purchased earlier. The associate nodded knowingly and disappeared into the back of the store, returning moments later with several boxes. "I think these might be just what you're looking for." The sales associate opened the first box to reveal a pair of stunning silver stiletto sandals with delicate straps that crisscrossed over the foot and ankle. The heel had to be at least 4 inches high. "These would complement the green dress beautifully," she explained. "The metallic finish will add a touch of glamour without overpowering the gown." My mum's eyes lit up. "Oh, they're perfect. Rachel, you have to try these on." I hesitated, eyeing the towering heels with trepidation. "I don't know, Mum. They look pretty high." "Nonsense," my mum said, waving away my concerns. "You've been doing great in those wedges all day. These aren't much higher." As the sales associate gently slid the silver stilettos onto my feet, I felt a mix of anxiety and excitement. The shoes were undeniably beautiful, with their delicate straps and shimmering finish. But as I stood up, I immediately felt the difference in height and stability compared to the wedges I'd been wearing. "Take a few steps," my mum encouraged, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. I took a tentative step forward, wobbling slightly, as I adjusted to the new center of balance. The sales associate stood nearby, ready to catch me if I stumbled. But with each step, I found myself growing more confident. The shoes forced me to walk with a more deliberate, swaying gait that felt surprisingly natural. "You look amazing, Rachel," my mum exclaimed. "Those shoes were made for you." I turned to look at myself in the full-length mirror and gasped softly. The stilettos elongated my legs dramatically, making them look impossibly long and shapely. The silver straps glittered as they wrapped around my ankles and feet, adding a touch of glamour to my appearance. Despite my initial hesitation, I couldn't deny how beautiful they looked. "Wow," I breathed, turning my foot to admire the shoes from different angles. They're really pretty." My mum beamed, clearly pleased with my reaction. "They're perfect with your dress. You'll look absolutely stunning." The sales associate nodded in agreement. "You carry them very well. Many girls struggle with heels this high, but you seem to have a natural grace." I felt a flush of pride at the compliment, even as a small voice in the back of my mind reminded me that this wasn't real, that I was just playing a role. But as I continued to admire my reflection, that voice grew fainter. "We'll take them," my mum declared decisively. "And do you have any other styles you'd recommend? It's always good to have options." The sales associate's eyes lit up. "Absolutely. Let me show you a few more pairs that I think would suit Rachel beautifully." Before I knew it, I was trying on an array of elegant heels, sleek black pumps, gold sandals, and even a pair of knee-high boots with a stiletto heel. With each new pair, I found myself growing more comfortable, even enjoying the way they transformed my posture and gait. "Mum," I was snapping back into reality. We shouldn't be getting anything other than the silver stilettos." Mum looked at me, a flicker of disappointment crossing her face. For a moment, I thought she might insist on buying more shoes, but then she nodded slowly. "You're right, Rachel," she said, her voice tinged with a hint of regret. "We should focus on what you need for the pageant. The silver stilettos are perfect." As we made our way to the counter, I couldn't help but feel a mix of relief and an unexpected pang of disappointment myself. Part of me had been secretly thrilled at the prospect of trying on more shoes, of exploring this new world of feminine fashion. But I pushed that feeling aside, reminding myself that this was all just for the pageant. The sales associate carefully boxed up the silver stilettos, wrapping them in tissue paper with practiced hands. "These really are stunning on you," she said, smiling warmly. "You have excellent taste." As we left the shoe store, I felt a strange mix of emotions. Relief that we hadn't bought more shoes, but also a lingering sense of excitement about the beautiful stilettos we had purchased. The weight of the shopping bags in my hands felt oddly comforting, a tangible reminder of this surreal day. "Well, I think that's everything we need for your pageant outfit," my mum said as we walked through the mall. "How about we grab a quick coffee before heading home?" I nodded, realizing I was actually looking forward to sitting down and taking a break. My feet were starting to ache a bit from wearing heels all day, though I was surprised at how quickly I had adapted to the heels. As we made our way to the mall exit, I found myself walking with a newfound confidence, my hips swaying slightly with each step. The click of my heels on the polished floor seemed to echo the rhythm of my heartbeat. My mum linked her arm through mine, and I felt a surge of warmth at the gesture. "You know, I think a drive-through coffee might be better," Mum said as we approached the parking lot. "That way we can head straight home and get you out of those heels. I'm sure your feet could use a break." I nodded gratefully, realizing just how tired my feet were after a full day of shopping in unfamiliar shoes. We made our way to the car, and I carefully arranged my skirt as I slid into the passenger seat, making sure not to wrinkle the delicate fabric. As we drove, the late afternoon sun cast a golden glow through the car windows. I found myself absent-mindedly running my fingers through my hair, still marveling at how soft and feminine it felt. The weight of the breast forms on my chest had become oddly comforting, and I caught myself occasionally adjusting my posture to accommodate them. "You've done so well today, Rachel," my mum said warmly as we pulled into the drive-through line at the coffee shop. "I'm really proud of how you've handled everything." I felt a flush of pleasure at her words, even as a part of me insisted that I shouldn't be proud of pretending to be a girl. But the line between pretending and reality had become increasingly blurred as the day went on. "Thanks, Mum," I replied softly, my voice still pitched higher than usual. "It's been interesting." We were interrupted by the drive-through speaker, so we ordered our coffee and headed home. The drive was quiet, with only the soft hum of the radio filling the car. I found myself lost in thought, replaying the events of the day in my mind. The weight of the shopping bags in the back seat felt like a tangible reminder of the surreal experience I'd just had. As we pulled into our driveway, the familiar sight of our house brought a mix of relief and anxiety. Part of me was eager to get inside and out of these feminine clothes, while another part was strangely reluctant to let go of Rachel. "Why don't you take everything up to your room, sweetie?" Mum suggested as we walked through the front door. "Then we can relax and enjoy our coffee." I nodded, gathering the bags and making my way upstairs. As I entered my bedroom, I was struck by the contrast between my typical boyish decor and the delicate, feminine items I was carrying. The shopping bags felt oddly out of place among my sports posters and video game controllers. I carefully laid out the emerald green dress on my bed, smoothing the fabric reverently. The silver stilettos were placed beside it, their straps glinting in the late afternoon light. As I unpacked the lingerie, my cheeks flushed again at the sight of the lacy panties and bra. For a moment, I stood there, taking in the sight of these beautiful, feminine things spread out on my bed. It was like looking at artifacts from another world, a world I had unexpectedly inhabited for a day. With a small sigh, I turned to my mirror. The girl staring back at me still took my breath away. Her blonde hair fell in soft waves around her face, framing delicate features enhanced by subtle makeup. The floral sundress hugged curves I didn't know I had, and the wedge sandals elongated my legs. It was hard to believe this was me. I reached up to touch my face, half expecting the illusion to shatter, but the skin under my fingertips was smooth and soft, free of any hint of stubble. The breast forms on my chest rose and fell with each breath, feeling eerily natural. "Rachel?" My mum's voice called from downstairs. "Your coffee's getting cold, sweetie." "Coming, Mum," I replied automatically, my voice still pitched higher than usual. As I turned to leave the room, I caught sight of my regular clothes piled in the corner where I had left them this morning. The baggy jeans and t-shirt looked alien to me now, as if they belonged to someone else. I hesitated for a moment, my hand hovering over the familiar fabric. Should I change back? The thought sent an unexpected pang through me. After a full day as Rachel, the idea of returning to my male self felt strangely daunting. I bit my lip, torn between two conflicting desires. "Rachel?" My mum called again, a hint of concern in her voice. I made a split-second decision. "Just a minute." I called back, my voice still soft and feminine. I smoothed my sundress, adjusted my hair quickly in the mirror, and headed downstairs, still fully dressed as Rachel. As I entered the living room, my mum looked up from her coffee and smiled warmly. "There you are, sweetie. I was starting to worry you'd fallen asleep up there." I smiled back, feeling a mix of nervousness and excitement as I settled onto the couch beside her, carefully arranging my skirt. "Sorry, I was just organising everything." Mum nodded, her eyes twinkling with understanding. "It was quite a haul, wasn't it? You must be exhausted after all that shopping." I took a sip of my coffee, savouring the rich flavour. "It was tiring," I admitted, "but also kind of fun." The words slipped out before I could stop them. My mum's smile widened. "I'm so glad you enjoyed it, Rachel. You know, I always dreamed of having days like this with a daughter." A lump formed in my throat at her words. I could see the genuine joy in her eyes, and it made me feel both warm and conflicted. "Really?" I asked softly. She nodded, her eyes misty. "Oh yes, don't get me wrong, I love you no matter what, but there's something special about mother-daughter bonding. Today felt like a dream come true. I felt a pang of guilt. This was just supposed to be for the pageant, wasn't it? But seeing how happy it made my mum, and if I was being honest with myself, how much I had enjoyed it too. "Mum," I began hesitantly, What if, I paused. Part of me wanted to see my mum happy and bring Rachel back again, but I snapped out of my daze realising I was boy, and just stayed quiet. My mum looked at me expectantly, her eyes filled with a mix of curiosity and hope. "What is it, sweetie? You can tell me anything." I hesitated, my heart pounding. The words I had almost spoken hung in the air between us, unspoken but palpable. I took a deep breath, trying to gather my thoughts. I just wanted to say thank you," I finally managed, my voice barely above a whisper, "for today, for everything. It was special." My mum's face softened and she reached out to squeeze my hand. "Oh, Rachel, it was my pleasure. I'm so glad we got to share this experience together." As we sat there, sipping our coffee in comfortable silence, Mum broke the silence, glancing at the ornate clock on the mantel. "It's getting late, sweetie. You should probably get some sleep." It's been quite a day. I nodded, feeling the weight of the day's events settling over me like a warm blanket. As I stood up, my mum placed a gentle hand on my arm. Before you go to bed, though, you should clean your face properly, she said. It's important to take care of your skin, especially after wearing makeup all day. I followed her to the bathroom, where she guided me through a skincare routine I'd never considered before. She showed me how to use a gentle cleanser, working it into my skin with small circular motions. The cool cream felt soothing against my face, washing away the day's experiences along with the makeup. Now, rinse with lukewarm water, she instructed. I splashed lukewarm water on my face, feeling the last traces of makeup wash away. As I patted my skin dry with a soft towel, I caught sight of my reflection in the mirror. Without the makeup, I looked more like my usual self, but there was still something different, a softness to my features, a glow to my skin that hadn't been there before. Here, use this moisturizer, Mum said, handing me a small jar. It'll keep your skin soft and prevent any irritation from the makeup. I smoothed the cool cream over my face, marveling at how different this routine felt from my usual quick wash with bar soap. As I finished, Mum smiled at me proudly. There, all clean and fresh. Now, off to bed with you. Sweet dreams, Rachel. I hesitated for a moment, then impulsively hugged her. Thanks, Mum, for everything. She hugged me back tightly, and I could feel the warmth of her smile. You're welcome, sweetie. I love you. As I made my way up to my bedroom, I felt a strange mix of emotions swirling inside me. The day had been surreal, exhausting, and yet oddly exhilarating. I closed my bedroom door behind me and leaned against it, taking a deep breath. My eyes fell on the emerald dress, still laid out on my bed, the silver stilettos gleaming beside it. The lingerie was neatly folded on my dresser. These tangible reminders of the day's events made my heart race. I ran my fingers over the soft fabric of the dress, remembering how it had felt on my body. The breast forms were still securely adhered to my chest, their weight now familiar and oddly comforting. I knew I should remove them, but something made me hesitate. Instead, I found myself reaching for my normal pajama shorts and a plain shirt. It felt odd to have the perky breast forms stretch the front of my normal shirt as I crawled into bed. I was amazed at how my now smooth legs felt against the cool sheets. Why does this feel so amazing as I rubbed my legs back and forth? I finally felt myself dozing off into a peaceful, deep sleep.